Tonight, on the big story, more questions are raised at the impeachment court over Vice President Sara Duterte's spending of confidential funds. The prosecution only sees red flags.
Your Honor, please, ang tawag ko lang doon, hindi prima facie evidence. Kung akong tatanungin, scam ito.
Move to strike,
No
Your
further
Honor.
questions.
Move to strike. That is out of order, Your Honor.
No further questions, Your Honor.
This went around for hours. The ICC wanted Senator Bato de la Rosa has been captured, but it's news that law enforcement agencies were quick to put to rest. Where are the flood control projects? That's a question as rain submerged several barangays in Pangasinan again. And hail to her who raised the flag. Alex Ayala's historic win is now a cause for celebration in the Philippines, even briefly bridging the political divide.
Super grateful for all the fans who waited. They really stuck it out, and the people back home, I know, like, couldn't get a lot of sleep. So super grateful, and I hope you guys enjoyed the end of the final.
Good evening, I'm Ces Orenia Drilon. We begin with House Private Prosecutor Lorna Capunan calling the alleged misuse of 612 million pesos in confidential funds as a scam. Capunan made the remark on day 12 of Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial. Today, more questions were also raised on how Duterte's agencies spent a budget supposedly without proper receipts. This is tonight's big story from mobile journalist Arles de los Santos.
Your Honor, please, ang tawag ko lang doon, hindi prima facie evidence. Kung akong tatanungin, scam ito.
Move to strike,
No
Your
further
Honor. Move to
questions.
strike. That is out of order, Your Honor.
No further questions, Your Honor.
So stricken,
Move to strike.
So stricken from the record. No further questions. Direct examination is completed.
That was how Private Prosecutor Attorney Lorna Capunan concluded her direct examination of former State Auditor Attorney Roderick Wamil. Wamil was the prosecution's third witness for Article 1, or the alleged misuse of confidential funds by Vice President Sara Duterte. Before that, the court closely examined how the secret budget was spent. Wamil said the confidential nature of the money does not mean it is spared from accounting.
Ang confidential fund po ay public fund, so kailangan pong ma-properly account. It must follow the strict accounting and auditing guidelines po to prevent misuse.
The prosecution also went through the expenditures made using the confidential funds of both the OVP and the Education Department. For a time, the Vice President headed both agencies.
Sa mga sinubmit na documents ng Vice President, and I will, for purposes of summarizing, purchase of information, 14 million. Reward payment, 10,050,000. Rental of safe house. 11 days nag-rent ang Office of the Vice President ng safe houses from December 21 to 31. 16 million in 11 days. Divided by the number of days, 2 million a day ang binayad ng Office of the Vice President para lang sa rental ng safe house.
There were also 112.5 billion pesos in DepEd confidential funds used for counterinsurgency programs. These were meant to prevent the recruitment of militant groups among teachers and students. The problem, there were no specific activities listed showing how these programs were implemented by DepEd.
Hindi po naka-enumerate yung kanilang specific confidential activities, hindi po naka-match yung kanilang physical target on the specific confidential activities na paggagamitan nila ng kanilang fund from confidential.
There was no list of teachers, no list of learners, nor list of communist or leftist groups appended to any of the documents submitted by the DepEd, Mr. Witness.
Wala po.
The DepEd confidential funds were also allegedly used for anti-extremism and anti-terrorism campaigns. But
Pinatibay daw ang background information kasi daw merong terrorist groups sa mga eskwelahan. Ano naman ang dokumentong sinabmit ng DepEd para patunayan. Natunay nga na may terrorist ng mga eskwelahan. Meron ba? Submit the documents.
Wala po silang sinabit.
Millions of pesos were also allegedly released as rewards for informants using counterinsurgency, abuse prevention, and anti-terrorism programs. But again, there were no documents to show how these were dispersed or if the programs were successful.
100% successful daw sila. 100% implementation of activities without untoward security-related incidents. Itong activities na to, na 100% compliance daw. Meron bang listahan na sinubmit ang DepEd para dito?
Wala po.
Wamil also testified that he was summoned to a meeting in September 2023 where he said VP Sara's Chief of Staff, Attorney Zulaika Lopez, Attorney Michael Poa, and several COA officials were present. They allegedly asked about the liquidation process and requested that, if possible, the COA issue an audit query to DepEd instead of an Audit Observation Memorandum or AOM. An AOM is the document issued to agencies when discrepancies are found in their use of funds. But Wamil said the COA did not agree and continued to issue the AOM, notice of suspension, and a temporary notice of disallowance to the OVP soon after. But now, POA is part of the defense team, and at cross-examination, he tried to put Wamil's credibility into question. And yes, he referred to that meeting.
Ni minsan ba humingi ang exemption sa inyo ang Vice Presidente sa audit ng kanyang confidential funds?
Ang humingi po ng, actually, meron nag-request po na kung pwedeng audit query na lang
Opo.
yung i-issue instead of
Opo.
AOM. So
But hindi
parang
po
exception
exemption.
po yun.
At Cross, Wamil's knowledge of COA's policies was also put to test using the Commission on Audit Joint Circular Number 2015-01. POA asked if there is any rule that prohibits the use of confidential funds within the 11-day period.
Wala din po. Kaya hindi po namin sinama sa findings namin yung 11 days na disbursement. It's just a statement of fact po on the AOM.
The defense team also questioned Wamil's statement on Monday that Duterte was the only vice president who had confidential funds. Attorney Poa presented a document from the Department of Budget and Management showing that confidential funds were also released in 2014 of then VP Jejomar Binay. 2014 was also the year Wamil began serving at the COA Intelligence and Confidential Funds Audit Office or ICFAO.
Yes po. Pero na-liquidate po ba yan? That's the question.
That's the question to ICFAO actually because yun po yung, ang pinapakita ko lang sa inyo is nagkaroon po ng confidential funds. Ang Office of the Vice President noong 2014 issued December 22, 2014.
Based on that document po,
Meron.
Meron.
You confirm. But that's okay, no? Because maybe you were
POA apologized to the Binay family for dragging their name into the impeachment proceedings. The defense also presented a COA circular from October 1992 which states that confidential activities may not be disclosed if doing so would endanger national security or the success of the mission. POA asked Wamil whether he was familiar with its contents, particularly the provisions on intelligence and confidential activities. Attorney Kapunan immediately objected, saying the document was outdated. After the trial, prosecution counsel Attorney Kapunan said they plan to subpoena Mel Gris Piatos to testify. This move may well end the mystery surrounding the controversial name.
Pinahanap pa namin eh. Hindi pa namin makita kung saan na kami pumuntang Mary Grace. Hindi, wala naman doon. Pagkapadala namin sa Office of the Vice President yung subpoena.
Kapatid Arles de los Santos, we are One News.
Meantime, this afternoon got stirred up a bit when word spread that fugitive Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa had been captured. Social media was abuzz with the information. One of De La Rosa's lawyers, attorney Jimmy Bondoc, had this cryptic post on Facebook, and we quote, "Bad news is coming. Pray hard that it is not true for the good of the nation." The post has since been deleted. When asked by the media, both the Justice and Interior Department said they have no confirmation of Bato's arrest. DILG Secretary John Vic Remulla's reply to reporters went as far as the PNP is concerned. We have no information to that effect. The NBI has also denied De La Rosa's arrest but said the hunt for him is ongoing.
Wala kaming information na ganun, no? So kung sino may nagkakalat, baka sila may information. It's ongoing. We have several surveillance team na doon sa several areas na na-identify.
Senator Bato is the subject of an arrest warrant by the International Criminal Court. That's for allegations of crimes against humanity linked to the Duterte drug war. De La Rosa has been in hiding since November 2025, but briefly surfaced last May to attend a Senate session and vote for Alan Peter Cayetano as Senate President. A few days after, Bato walked away despite being under the upper chamber's protective custody and has not been heard from since. Now let's talk about these developments with our guest tonight, and we have with us again Attorney Rafael Aquino of the Free Legal Assistance Group. Welcome once again to the big story, Attorney.
Magandang hapon ulit o magandang gabi ulit, sis.
Okay, scam. Tama ba si Attorney? She was able to put that in as she closed her presentation of evidence in the case of Wamil, the COA auditor.
Yes, that was her last word during her, I think it was her redirect, right? Of course, it was objected to by Attorney Poa, vehemently, but it was kind of drowned out by the uproar it caused. I also did not hear how the presiding officer ruled if it was allowed to stand on the record.
No. It was stricken off the
Stricken.
record.
Yeah.
But did she go too far? In another court of law, anong mangyayari pag ginawa mo yun?
Well, it would have been stricken out and that would have been the end of it. Okay, it's not on the record, so on appeal, that should not be on the record already, and it won't. The danger there is that it gets to taint the minds of those who will look at the record. If it's not there, then no harm, no foul. Okay.
But did she get to prove that it was a scam?
That is not yet.
Not yet.
But the prosecution, I think, is well on its way to proving misconduct.
One curious thing, however, was Attorney Poa pointing out that the AOM, or Audit Observation Memorandum, of the, I think it was the last quarter of 2022, was late. I mean, it came in September. They submitted their liquidation January within the 30-day period, and curiously, it came after the budget hearing of the COA at the House of Representatives. So makikita mo may political pressure din.
Yes.
Does that taint it somehow?
That was a valid point to raise during cross-examination. And to the credit of the defense, they did raise it, and it suggests political targeting. Of course, it might just be that a delay of 8 months is always not acceptable. It should be unacceptable. Even on the part of our constitutional agencies, they should do their job promptly and should not have waited for that long.
Especially since they're making a big deal out of the time that the agency, in this case, both the VP's office and the DepEd, should give out its liquidation, disbursement, etc., physical, financial plan in time.
30 days, I
Yes.
think, is the...
Yes.
Yes, yes.
So medyo menos yun.
Oo.
But on the prosecution, where did they score? Where did they prove their case?
Well, first, there were no major mishaps with regard to Attorney Kapunan's direct examination. But the biggest scores, I think, were tallied during her redirect after the cross-examination, when she managed to bring back the conversation to first principles.
Okay.
And what I mean by this is that, number one, she was able to remind through her questions everyone that these are public funds. And number two, there is an institutional intention to subject even intelligence and confidential funds to strict audit. Okay, it's strict audit, not any lesser kind of auditing standard.
Even if you term them as intelligence or confidential funds.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And I think that was the perfect frame for the omissions that were pointed out during
The
direct examination.
So sometimes that is better. In fact, I think she said when Attorney Poe was objecting, she said, you opened this door.
Yes.
It was
yes.
you who opened this door somehow. Because, well, one is, he said, the first tranche was actually not part of the GAA. It was from the Office of the President.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
So, okay.
Yes. It was correct to point out that POA, during his cross-examination, touched on he opened that door, which allowed Attorney Kapunan to further develop it in redirect. For lawyers like myself,
Okay.
this is what we see in courtrooms. Okay, there is direct, cross, redirect, and even recross, which
happened,
we
which
saw
all
now,
happened
no?
today.
For the first time, umabot tayo sa recross. And the objections, even the objections, were pretty textbook. For instance, POA would say, that is beyond the scope of cross-examination, therefore you can't touch on it in redirect. But the riposte of Kapunan was also textbook. You opened the door. Therefore, I'm entitled
Fascinating
to go
to
in.
watch kung
Yes.
hindi ka abogado.
Actually.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. You have to be on your toes. Oo.
That's right.
But the presentation by POA of COA circular in 1992 suggested that there's leniency actually in dealing with intelligence and confidential funds, because you might put in danger informants, etc.
Yes.
The nature of the information, for instance. Does a succeeding joint circular in 2015
Yes.
superseded? Ano ba yung batas
Well,
dyan?
if there's a way to reconcile these two issuances, then they should be reconciled. But if there is a true contradiction, the latter one prevails.
The
this
newer
case,
one.
the newer one. In this case, the first issuance suggested that we be a little bit more lenient when it comes to auditing confidential and intelligence funds. But the joint circular in 2015, several years later, suggests the opposite.
Yes.
Oh, no, it does not suggest.
Which
It
is-
prescribes
Yeah,
the opposite.
which is better.
Which is
actually.
better, actually. And I don't think the joint circular requires naman the agency to divulge specific names. All that is required is for the agency to divulge the specific activity, which the OVP remarkably failed to do so despite every opportunity given them.
Oo nga. They had
Alright.
opportunities to correct, no?
Yes.
It was too broad. Like
Yes.
areas that are, I don't know, insurgency infected, or yeah. Should they have enumerated? Paano ba yun?
Yes, they should have studied. They were already told that the standard applicable here is the joint circular. Okay, when they failed to substantiate the first time. The second, they revised their submission, but still, it was too general pa rin. Diba? So, what is an auditor to do except to recommend suspension?
What does that suggest to you, that kind of attitude? Na binabaliwala mo lang ito? Ganun ba? Para bang they were just,
That's one way of looking at it, binabaliwala. The other way of looking at it is that I am not really bound by these
petty rules.
niceties. No, I am above.
So it's
these
hubris. Can we
niceties.
go as far as saying that?
Probably, yes. Some would see it that way. No? Yes.
Okay. Another curious thing, kung nakapuntos ang defense dun sa parang putting some suspicion on how the audit came about, the AOM came about, right? Ito naman, dinivulge ng COA auditor that there was a meeting where the opposing counsel was present. What is that?
Well,
What
first
does-
of all, from a purely tactical point of view, it was a powerful tactic. It's always a powerful tactic if you could somehow draw in opposing counsel. No? And
Put
that
some
is-
doubt,
Yes, as to
cast doubt on your rival.
yes, that to, a suggestion that is somehow part of this
The scheme.
no? The scheme. But
Was-
it is also, it should be seen with, it should be measured naman, no? The way we look at that meeting, because there are. And this was even admitted by the witness. Other agencies do seek audiences. No? What is really bad was that suggestion coming from attorneys Poa and Lopez
Zuleika Lopez.
to replace an AOM with an audit query, which does not exist anywhere in the books or the regulations of COA.
Kasi yung AOM meron ng bad mark yun di ba?
That's
Parang
right.
meron ka ng grade na C
It is a,
or D.
yes, and it is a closer step to suspension and disallowance. So if you suggest something that is short of an AOM, you are actually trying to get the COA to put more distance and to cut you some slack.
Yeah.
Dun, yun ang medyo,
Yung medyo hindi
delix.
maganda. Oo, hindi
Right.
maganda.
Hindi maganda.
tignan.
Precisely.
But at least it was an open meeting. It could have been something, secretive and all that.
Yes,
They could have done it that
yes,
way too.
Another important thing there is that it was that meeting that the OVPs, that Sarah's team, were referred to the joint circular. So, wala na silang lusot, di ba? Ito yung ginagamit namin, di ba?
Oo. Kumbaga, papeles nga lang ang tinitignan nila. They
That's
don't even
right.
do a field inspection.
That's right.
I mean, it's the
Easiest thing to do.
easiest thing
right?
to do to abide, right?
Yes.
Oo. Anyhow, another thing I wanted to ask you was the comfort of how the witness handled himself.
Well,
What did you think?
I think he handled himself with admirable composure he wasn't really rattled, and yes, he's being a lawyer also served him in good stead. I think he was able to anticipate where the cross-examination of Attorney Poe
Hindi siya
was going.
natitinag no? In
That's
fact,
right.
meron siyang minsan tinatanong pa niya si Attorney Poe. Anong ibig mong sabihin?
Was this liquidated?
Yes,
right.
yes. Now, at the close of today's hearing, there was much argument about the judicial notice and the affidavit of Las Cañas, yes. Okay, let's go first to the judicial notice. Ano bang ibig sabihin nun? The prosecution wanted the court to take judicial notice of the House hearings on good governance and the Justice Committee. Anong ibig sabihin?
Well, judicial notice means that you don't have to prove it because it should be within the knowledge of the court already. It's part of public knowledge that should no longer be proven, unlike ordinary facts that are not subject to judicial notice.
Okay. So that's dangerous for the respondent.
Yes, because it was in those proceedings before those committees that the Las Cañas affidavit was really used and deployed by
the House prosecution.
That's right.
But Las Cañas, there was really vehement objection from the defense that they will really not agree to it
Yes.
being marked.
Well,
Is it anyway pertinent? Is it very important to the prosecution?
Las Cañas is important as part of the testimony of that witness. I don't remember anymore if it was Matibag or Matibag, right? It was important
In the course
because
of his investigation.
his statement was that this was one of the leads. No, the prosecution never offered the Las Cañas affidavit to prove the contents of that affidavit. Had they done so, that would have been hearsay.
But those excerpts are telling. Like, apparently, when she was mayor, the VP ordered one of Las Cañas
Yes.
na kidnapin nyo na lang yung mga yan because the media are asking questions and then let them disappear.
Yes. And precisely because of the extreme prejudice this will cause their client, the defense had to vehemently stand its ground there.
Okay. Now, there have been other events aside from this impeachment. Meron pa namang nangyayari.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you about this statement Ombudsman Remulla said about Bong Revilla being granted bail na may nagtrabaho. And you have the ombudsman saying this. What does it mean? And is that this is a setback for the case for the ombudsman, right?
Oh, most definitely. And I think this is where the dissent by the chair of the third division becomes very relevant because now you have a standard against which to measure the majority. Okay.
So ano, pwede ba silang i-impeach?
Well, the
Ano ang
ombudsman.
mga remedy dyan?
This is not the first time that the ombudsman has
Said something to the effect.
voiced criticism about the impartiality of certain Sandigan Bayan justices. And I think for Ombudsman Boying, this is symptomatic of what he has been griping about for some time now.
He's not careless with his words. He would not have said that,
Yes.
knowing
yes.
the repercussions, right?
That's right. That's
O
right.
dahil medyo setback lang ito, hindi naman, no? He is, although he does hold, he's quite vocal. He does hold a lot of press conferences, but yeah, it's heavy with meaning.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Ayaw mo na magsalita.
It's very pregnant with implications.
Right. Okay, now, Bato de la Rosa supposedly being arrested. May remedies pa ba ang senador that he can avail of before being, brought to the Hague, if it is true?
Well, he has an ongoing case in the Supreme Court. So the remedy there is for him to go to the Supreme Court. And
But time is of the essence.
Yes.
Remember with the former president, wala
kinuha na
na.
lang.
Oh.
No? But I think that's a key distinction. There was no opportunity to get the Supreme Court to act.
But this time,
Right.
the case is alive in the court.
It's alive, yes, in the court.
All right, we're being signaled to wrap up. Thank you so
Yes.
much, classmate. Naku, nakatatlong pabor na ako sa'yo. I hope you can
Anytime.
always come back.
Okay.
Mahaba itong
No
impeachment.
problem.
Baka hanggang
Oo nga,
Pasko.
oo nga.
Thank you so much. That was Attorney Rafael Aquino of the Free Legal Assistance Group. You're watching The Big Story on One News. The rains we're experiencing may not be letting up anytime soon. Another low-pressure area is hovering. We have the latest weather report next. Stay tuned.
She's so good, and when she was a kid and she was training here, she was so disciplined.
She's amazing, but because she really worked hard for all her wins. I want to try to go outside the Philippines and play a lot. Ate Alex, thank you po sa inspiration, and congratulations.
There's 7-year-old Amala and grade 7 student Gabby, both aspiring tennis players and looking up to new DC Open champ Alex Ayala. There's a steady stream of cheers for the Pinay phenom after her historic win in Washington. We continue celebrating the amazing Alex later on in the program. But first, we have the day's other headlines. The Sandigan Bayan resumes trial today on former Senator Bong Revilla's malversation case linked to the flood control scandal. Revilla was a no-show, but former Public Works Undersecretary Roberto Bernardo took the witness stand, where he detailed the practice of collecting commissions or kickbacks in DPWH projects. He said it starts with senators and congressmen approaching then Public Works Secretary Manuel Bonoan. That's to get their pet projects included in the National Expenditure Program. Once the project gets into the budget, lawmakers allegedly ask for cuts. In Revilla's case, Bernardo said DPWH had allocated at least 1.5 billion pesos for his pet projects last year, where the former senator supposedly got around 500 million pesos in kickbacks. At this point, Bernardo admitted he too received kickbacks, but not in the Pandi Bulacan Ghost Flood Control Project, which had also been linked to Revilla. Bernardo also said Bonoan, now deceased former DPWH Undersecretary Catalina Cabral, also received commissions. The former DPWH official also mentioned transacting with Senators Chis Escudero and Jinggoy Estrada and former Senator Nancy Binay, all of whom have already denied the allegation. The anti-graft court shall resume hearing the case on August 12, and this time the prosecution will have Bonoan as witness. Meanwhile, Revilla's camp protested Ombudsman Boying Remulla's statement insinuating that the former senator must have used his influence to get the court to agree on his petition for bail. Revilla's legal counsel, Attorney Ramon Esguerra, said the statement does not bode well with the integrity of the anti-graft court. The judges who have decided on the case have already insisted they never allow influence to affect their decision-making on any case.
I do not know where he was coming when he said that. Integrity ang pinag-uusapan natin yung independence ng judiciary. Kung lahat na lamang ng natatalo, sasabihin ganun, sasabihin ganito, ay wag na tayong wag na tayong pumunta sa husgado. Paano pa magtitiwala ang mga tao ngayon?
A blue alert was raised in Pangasinan after flooding brought about by Tropical Depression Luis and Habagat. In the town of Lingayen, a catch basin, 20 of 32 barangays were affected. Homes had been swamped by floodwaters, and residents are now being asked to prepare for evacuation if the rainfall worsens.
Natatakot po kami kung saan kami pupunta po. Tinitis namin kung ganito na rin, sir. Hintayin namin kung tumuyo na umapaw ng tubig.
Po, wala pa tong bagyo. Kaya ganito ang hirap po talaga. Pagising mo, tubig, tapos lalabas ka, ganon. Tubig pa rin. Hindi ka makapunta sa bayan or saan-saan dyan, gawa ng tubig.
Aside from being a catch basin, the Lingayen Gulf is also home to storm surges. Some barangays also pointed to silted creeks, which is why flooding reportedly takes up to 5 days to recede. Disaster officials could only hope the planned flood control projects in the area will soon materialize.
So pag may pumping station tayo, may floodgate tayo, so pagtaas pa lang ng high tide, close mo na siya. So hindi na papasok yung tubig. And kapag umulan and then naipon, pwede mo siya i-pump going to the river.
Luis has already dissipated, but the other low pressure area prevailing in Luzon now has a high chance of developing into a cyclone. The LPA was last spotted over the West Philippine Sea, west of Bacnotan, La Union. And according to Pagasa, by tomorrow it could develop into a tropical depression which will be called Maymay, or is it Maymay? It could possibly make landfall over Ilocos, after which it will once again weaken into an LPA. Pagasa also continues to monitor the typhoon with international named Dolphin still outside the Philippine area of responsibility. It will enhance our southwest monsoon, especially by Friday. The Habagat will bring rains over much of Luzon, including Metro Manila and the Visayas until the weekend. In other news, the Department of Science and Technology says the Philippines is right in the race for innovation. To prove this, DOST Western Visayas has launched an AI festival. More from Mobile Journal, Fatima Baduria.
Not far behind, That's how DOST Secretary Renato Solidum Jr. described how the country stands against its Southeast Asian neighbors when it comes to artificial intelligence. In fact, according to Solidum, various AI technologies have been developed to solve national problems, including chatbots and tools in weather forecasting and disaster resilience.
We sit comfortably above the halfway mark in global AI readiness rankings, and we are steadily climbing. However, we are not trying to outbuild Silicon Valley. That is not our race to win, and frankly, it does not need to be.
The DOST, though, admits multiple challenges to AI development in the Philippines, including a shortage of talents and the lack of regional adoption to such technology. But the agency's chief says efforts are underway to bridge these gaps with funds going into upskilling.
Yung talent talaga is an ongoing effort by DOST since 2019. We actually ran a training program with the private sector and Development Academy in the Philippines to train researchers on how to use AI when it was still starting. So yung mga machine learning, sinauna na yan.
Among state initiatives now is an AI platform on geographical analytics covering governance.
So our goal is to combine artificial intelligence with geospatial analytics or GeoAI to really provide not only identification of the root causes of a problem, and also provide the best solution appropriate to the problem at the local and national level.
The AI Festival at the Iloilo Convention Center will run from August 3 to 5 and aims to promote ethical and multi-sectoral use of artificial intelligence. The regional initiative will feature workshops, exhibits, competitions, and other engagements meant to build an ecosystem among the state, the academe, and stakeholders in the innovation community. Discussions on national policies will likewise be front and center in this year's Tech Fest. Kapatid Fatima Baduria, we are One News.
This is a big story on One News, and next, the celebration continues over Alex Ayala's recent win.
Kaya't sa ngalan ng Senado, ng mga senator judges, mga kawani ng Senado, sa ngalan ng magatunggaling mga partido ng impeachment trial, nais po naming ipabatid ang aming nagkakaisang pagbati kay Binibining Alex Ayala sa kanyang panalo at kampyonato sa DC Open. Tunay na ikinararangal at ipinagbubunyikan naming lahat.
Oh, congratulations, bonggang-bongga ka, girl!
Your Honor, please, ang tawag ko lang doon, hindi prima facie evidence. Kung akong tatanungin, scam ito.
Move to strike,
No
Your
further
Honor. Move to
questions.
strike. That is out of order, Your Honor.
No further questions, Your Honor.
So
Move to strike.
stricken from the record. No further questions. Direct examination is completed.
Ni minsan ba humingi ang exemption sa inyo ang Vice Presidente sa audit ng kanyang confidential funds?
Ang humingi po ng, actually, meron nag-request po na kung pwedeng audit query na lang
Opo.
yung i-issue instead of
Opo.
AOM. So,
But hindi
parang
po
exception
exemption.
po yun. Ang confidential fund po ay public fund. So, dapat po ay properly accounted po ito. Must follow the strict accounting and auditing guidelines po to prevent misuse.
And this might just be the day's best news. Alex Ayala delivering another historic victory. She's the first Filipino tennis player to win a WTA title. Cheers are coming from everywhere and everyone, even top leaders and legendary athletes. This story from mobile journalist Amy Atienza.
Alex Ayala returned to Rock Creek Park in Washington, D.C. Tuesday midnight, Philippine time, trailing world number 3 and top seed Jessica Pegula in her quest to capture the Mugdala DC Open title. Persistent rain caused the finals game last Monday to be suspended, and Pegula was already up in the first set. But that suspension might have made the difference. Pegula couldn't stop the momentum swinging decisively in Ayala's favor. The 21-year-old tennis sensation secured the second set, forcing a decider. Shutting down Pegula in the third set with a commanding 6-0. Ayala got the biggest victory of her career so far. The first Filipino to win a WTA singles championship ever. Before this, Ayala took down top players, Olympic champion Zheng Qinwen, DC Open defending champ Leila Fernandez, second seed Elina Svitolina, and world number 1 Naomi Osaka.
It was a very steep hill, and coming into the tournament, I knew that the competition was super strong. And my draw was quite tough. Every match was just a different set of obstacles, you know. So I'm really, really proud. I think I encountered my fair share of obstacles this week. So super happy. Oh my gosh, winning a 500 is insane. It's an incredible milestone for me. And you know, at the beginning of the week, there's no way I would have thought that I would be holding this trophy. And you know, even at the beginning of the year, like, it's just, you know, these things kind of creep up on you, and yeah, I hold these moments really close to me.
Ayala gave a shout out to the fans who stuck with her all the way.
I was so pleasantly surprised with the turnout today, and super grateful for all the fans who waited the whole day yesterday. They really stuck it out, and the people back home, I know, like, couldn't get a lot of sleep. So super grateful, and I hope you guys enjoyed the end of the final.
For Filipinos who lost 2 nights of sleep to see their heroine make another history, it's worth the wait.
Congratulations, bonggang-bongga ka, girl! Para ngayon, lahat ng mga Pinoy mahilig sa tennis right now, aside sa boxing and pageantry.
One of Ayala's early well-wishers is President Bongbong Marcos himself. The president says Ayala is an inspiration for countless young Filipinos who dream without limits. Marcos had earlier gushed over Ayala during her visit in Malacanang and joked that he only invented a reception for a chance to have a photo opportunity with her. Ayala's victory also put the brakes on the political divide. Day 12 of Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial began with a nod to Ayala's monumental win.
Sa ngalan ng Senado, ng mga senator judges, mga kawani ng Senado, sa ngalan ng magatunggaling mga partido ng impeachment trial, nais po naming ipabatid ang aming nagkakaisang pagbati kay Binibining Alex Ayala sa kanyang panalo at kampyonato sa DC Open. Tunay na ikinararangal at ipinagbubunyikan naming lahat. Pag may inaantok po na senator judge, malamang nanood kagabi.
The outpouring of support continued with the Senate session this afternoon.
We have 11 colleagues who filed resolutions to congratulate Alex Ayala. Ganun po nating kamahal si Alex dahil halos majority na ho ng Senado ay nag-file po ng resolution to congratulate her.
For his part, House Speaker Boji D honored Ayala's years of sweat and sacrifice to make history. Meantime, 8-time World Division champion Manny Pacquiao crowned Ayala as GOAT, the new champion. While tennis star Rafael Nadal congratulated his former student at the Rafa Nadal Academy, where Ayala has been training since she was 13.
Hey everyone! Oh my God, I won! It's my first WTA title. Thank you so much for the support, and I'll see you again soon.
Ayala wins 500 ranking points in the tournament, fueling her ascent to world number 20. She also takes home $252,000 or 15 million pesos. But it will be a quick turnaround for the Filipina. On Wednesday, Philippine time, she will kick off her Canadian Open tour against Alicia Parks. Kapatid Amy Atienza, we are One News.
Wow, world number 20. And we just can't get enough of the amazing Alex Ayala. Our big picture tonight, her first photographs as champion of the 2026 Mubadala DC Open. Ayala poses with her crown in front of the historic U.S. Capitol, the home of the American Senate and House of Representatives. In one photo, her shoes were off and laid bare her toes, one proud symbol of hard work, grit, and determination. Ayala leaves Washington, D.C. not as a bright prospect anymore. She's now a WTA champion. And those are the big stories this Tuesday, August 4. I'm Ces Orenia Drilon. Kapatid, we are One News, your side all the time. Good night.